good. Ce matin. It doesn't seem very good ce matin, but it's good quand même. In how this nuit a déroulé, and yes, this mom has encountered this type of nuit before, but it seems to have come back to stay every night if you're seeking war. And I guess it's war for things of this type of mascot that has been put away. In other words, who are fighting for the mascot? I would suppose Denmark. When they're caught, they want to face justice, and I cannot care about those things. Cannot care about it. So if they're sensing that they have to be able to be watched, and the watch doesn't seem good when you have to walk miles to get to the library to get tremblant. So I cannot esteem these type of white people. Yes, one more country has been devastated, and a sense that it seeks war. The planet, if it takes time to understand these things, then I suppose the girl just have to just do so with her eyes. And yes, those things seem to want to be, but it comes with things of these, and that's why it does these things. Now it says that the parkour of man, the trajectory of man, could be very snail. I don't know, it looks like a snail right there. We're getting a wonderful glimpse of nature. And once it's that type of parkour, I have to do so because these things can only happen when you are calling. I said, do not seek me, and do not seek that of which is of the depths of me, this, that way. And sensing these things, it's impossible, especially of not a simple girl. I would kind of get out of that simplicity of life, figuring out on the parkour of the child. You have to understand once it gets to this here, has to be of it. So when man seeks that type of recul, we're finding out who seeks it to understand how to poniard the lady's heart. And how many times are you going to poniard the lady's heart will not be moved how to get to you. And I get as far as saying it's a low life. Now, because of it, they probably will sense that whatever she has belongs to them. So this will be judged in the courts of law. Meaning that's why am I having something that belongs to you that is so intricate? So once I have loins, kids, you cannot seek those things. So it will say that you will not be moved in the future. And when you're seeking, I have to curse you out. Now, because of it, if they're sensing that they want to be able to deal with the Guyanese population, then you have to sense the part that was eliminated from those people's lives. Faces the child as the biggest dilemma of her life. And yes, for once, this lady doesn't know how to get out of it. Now, do you need any kind of things that are magisterial divine? Probably. And will understand that perhaps it does exist. And when it does, decided to trap them in their own games. I'm hearing you somewhere where people have been there estimating my lifespan, estimating my family and my loins, estimating my next destination, depending on her completely. And those type of things triggers humans to kind of get berserk. Now, once these things are done, it kind of has a mechanism. Get to that, get to it, and it's not getting there. And in other words, who seeks those things? Can they be somebody who is a thief? Not necessarily. We are basically fit this way. They're understanding. And when it says get it and it's not getting there, and sometimes the person refuses, in this case, why? It calls for a lot of déménagement. And that is a way of saying whoever bore her, whoever bore her, I would say, is it coming from my belly? Perhaps. Explanation of that comes later. Perhaps. And once they know that path and that half of that side things. So I'm sensing that there's a flock who has gotten on a path. There should have been this to that extent, and only gets this. Now they're getting to this part here. So they shouldn't have gotten to this, the sole of the feet, which I'm sensing that an Amerindian lady exposed that part too late. And once they're saying that it didn't have a problem, it did. Once I am with an Amerindian person, it has to deal with it this way. They're thinking, once those things, you will get vindictive. Now, if you're seeking not to put yourself in the sense that it's probably a twitch that caused it, then it put it away. So it will say it happens that way. And now once your daughter was hospitalized or sent to New Amsterdam mental, it doesn't accept them. So they have to surrender. Now once these things are done, the girl moves on. Now because of it, this type of GT, what is this part? And this part you're seeking it completely to take from the child in mental issues against those. So that will say you have to probably, but whatever, and leave the girl alone. Now, when it deals with getting in there, everybody wants to be with twos in to release this information, and the information was already relieved. Now, if it concerns a pole of the bathroom, well, it has to sense that the soul was there and the girl could not get it. So whatever that was could care less based on whatever other vision dream she gets. Very visionary, and cannot be unproud of it. Why? Her life really demonstrates this type of fantasy and nothing but fantasy, and could say that the earth probably doesn't need it. Absolutely. Why? The people are not living and they are not able to do these things, realizing that you cannot do the work for humans, and American whites have gotten it to the point as they do not move, and once they do not move, the chosen cannot do these things for them and denounces these things. Now it will say that when that picture was taken at 23, the sole of her feet was intact and senses that part of her, and that part could be removed. Why? She has really vised an element of her that she should not have, and once that has been vised and put it away, not it removed, why you have kind of get to the stairs, and that's dot. Now once it trots in the mind those things of her bellies, the interdit, it begets tranchant. So it would say that it doesn't like her in America, and those type of presumptuousness would say, I think a country doesn't like you here for those things, not more than that. So it says, do not seek me for those things. Now the girl gets to, and these are all hurts as she pills these out, because at that point, at that age, this part of her could not receive hurts. So this could, they're suspecting, and when it gets to that point, the foreigners such as French wants to entertain those things and attack these type of bestials. So once these things are done, you would seek that of her, and I would have to back out. I already said back out, buddy. This is too much. Russia was told that in that D class, and this type of Parika was told that OC. So once I'm saying back out, you are disobedient. So I will not put it there. Those are things that are very It's conspiracy when she does these things. So it gets back to this part. So this part of the soul would be caressed completely And that's quite damaging when you're sensing come close to her. Once you have gone into a bitter descent, that descent cannot be unchanged. So if you're not learning, well, the girl, when she needs this, why, when she gets that sandal, it boozy, that's mom's toes, and has to deal with putting wood in her toes. Once it's destroyed, that nail, it cannot be repaired. Now, once you're sensing that you're seeking those reparation, it cannot be and has to live with these things. If you're seeking for the loins to see from a sushi point, go on YouTube and see the dirtiest, the rottenings of the toe, and leave this mom alone. Now, once we get there and we're discovering this part, what are you doing there? So it has to be this, it goes that way completely. Cannot blame that grandma. It's, and this is how anal the heavens are. Now, because of it, it cannot deal with her. So it says, I'm seeing you showing up at my home, it seems, in Guyana, and cannot be. Cannot be. So once those are done, of course you're going to seek vindictive ways. So you may go. Now, once this is done, this part here get peeped at by the child, I suppose, and can know that perhaps not. So yes, as that type of foam was relieved, if it was done that way and only showed up when she was thrown out, then how it did it is as if her father died again. So it repeated the death of the father, and now America has to face atrocities. And once you're doing that, now if I suspect Denny's daughter has that boobs, then it becomes catastrophic and has to be put back. Now, once these things are done, I cannot deal with how you want to analyze these things. So it will say this, once she gets to this part here, it puts her to what? The girl, and doesn't understand why it seeks the bascule. So the part of that hair, she travels, and when she gets to that, it hurdles. So it doesn't say that point. She probably wasn't hurdled this point of her life, and keeps going. So I kind of refrain from derogatory. You would know in this part of life. Why would you want to get to that derogatory? So you're not seeing me. I am not talking to you. Why are you seeking those derogatory? Now you will be hit hard. Now once we get to that hurdle, then I'm realizing that that part of her as Tear it was not lived yet, and put it away and lived it to bear her kids. Once the kids were born, getting to that part there, demands, is it demanding? Probably not. It just demands. So it will say, we are living next to the ocean, strategically speaking, and I don't know, she could have 3 of those there. And that part there. Does it become a way of that type of institution? Probably. But it kind of gets, when she gets to Parika, she could have it in a way that is very tear, they're suspecting. And in Georgetown, she could have it tear, and New Amsterdam OC. So it kind of bascules from that point and starts to come in. So the girl kind of reverses and goes back to Perico or Georgetown. Now, when it deals with this type of ocean, it has a kind of a landing, perhaps, like Dito landing. So it just has this, and it doesn't have these type of altitudes, it seems. So the mountainous parts can crisp that part and surrenders things of her dad. So obviously, when she gets to that part, she could hurdle and miss those parts, and this has no intent based on what we have done to her in the States. So the longer she has to sit and wait, the more she's going to have to activate in her older years. She's 57. Obviously, it demands that daughter with her, and she's not able to frontier that part yet. I have to probably deal with lawyers with these parts, and very important lawyers. So it just cannot be people that are hiding or peeping. Now, once these things have been disclosed, it remains personal, and you're not understanding that part. So it will say, once the girl stretches this of her feet, so once I'm getting a hint of this toe, then it's suspecting this toe has an ocean there, and it hurdled, and it's not content with it. So it could say that it doesn't want mom this way for long, and doesn't want to hear any more. Why? We have frontier a pas of indecencies up, and the indecency seeks conspiracy, and it doesn't work. So why is that part? And the girl could say, basically, it's probably this here, this type of gold. Why I believe that when the girl left New Amsterdam, that part had to be gold. Now we're finding out people are on titanium, and the head of the child explosives. So you would say the titanium sends a message up and it's gone. Those type of delirious ways. Once the girl has a tan goal, who is conspiring now? So I cannot deal with telling people these things. I do have a belly, and the belly cannot deal with this they're suspecting, and when it does, cannot release. So if you stuff the gold in the belly and stuff the ocean in the belly and stuff the microfibre in the belly, and just expose a little bit of shoulders, then some part of Angleterre says it cannot be accepted. And she was probably just a child, or she could have gotten it only when that wellness center hits her. So it will say because of that part has happened. And oftentimes it hits hard when it happens these ways. Now, when it sends a message of old age, this part of her was very copious, I would say. Allow her. And if she kind of dabbles in getting to the hospital and back, or certain paroles, then this part was land. So once she gets to the ocean, France seems to be able to live it and lied. And that would say you destroyed our homes for that, France, and has to be dealt with. Now, getting through this quickly, because I don't like my videos to be extremely long, but it seems to be getting there. So this part, when it puts it, this part, you could even seek to reverse it, but it seems to stick here, and it puts problems with this part. It's not working. So if they find that person, then you have to surrender. And oftentimes it seeks that of Kokwani and not to live there. Oftentimes her money is intact and has to determine why. And it says it deals with it and lied, but I would say it probably didn't. Why? I am getting something with this type of rope, and I'm getting something with the pinu part with this here. So it will say once I'm getting that part, then it's showing the determination of that debt, and exposure of it has to go in there with the forces that you're expecting to do so. Now, if it's suspecting one of the leaders got in there and did some harsh reality and is not able to stop it, and somebody seeks to pop the butts of the child in two levels, one from Barbad and one from Kukwani, then this part here cannot be relieved. They're suspecting, and those who have grown to the fullness have to be able to justify themselves. Up it goes. Now, once this has been determined, we have another problem with Denmark. They seem to have twin royals, and this of her foot could have been placed there for that's what I'm living now. And once there was a sort of friendship from school there, that person could have but hit this way, and you're not telling this to the heavens, and that's a grave affair. So now it will say, when this was not lived yet there, and once I get to the United States, I could have been living it. I didn't have my cubs, my loins. So this part will say, if you're seeking to mess with the girl's feet, and we did, then you have to sense that you will be arrested, and stop seeking this lady in arrestation. In other words, once you're seeking to arrest her to put propaganda, it hits you hard and comes after the woman. And these things has to be determined. What is it in courts? Now, once this part was exposed and she lived it, this part seeks her, and France disposes of her, so that accusation could keep that president squeezed for life. And once it is, and we are seeing what he does this way, then it's because of the ocean he's doing so. So the ocean would say, where do we determine the ocean? Is that woman. And once we determine the ocean, then the switch should have been really smooth, and not determine these things by whether you have a crevasse on your foot or not. So if your sense is that you cannot deal with it, then you have to sense, you have to put yourself in a mental institution and stop seeking the woman in that area. Now, once these things are done, this part of her would say, and puts it back, so that it doesn't sense that animosity, but oftentimes that conspiracy gets thrown out. And once it does it that way, then the girl is good. And she's a good, and it cannot be changed. And once people denies that part based on the privacy of the girl, gets caught with this they're suspecting, and that part also. So it has to deal it, and if you're seeking it here, then it's not coming. I've been here for weeks now. Now, when you're sensing that you want to challenge it, then I guess you get hit with this type of lamp until the lamp is seeking a new lamp. Now, once those things are done, you will sense that we need to stop, and that type of back and forth will come from land to Terre with an hurdle, meaning that it goes back and forth by the correction of it can determine. And that's very unique language that can kill that conspirator. Now, once these things are done, you have to sense that the part of our crown is quite unique, just with this only, not. So when it's unique, I do have photo of it that you're trying to destroy, it seems. So that part can be sensed. So it is sensed, that part. When it comes back and you're seeking to depart, then I have to get the lawyer on you guys again. So it has to be able to say, it has to be put away. Nobody is able to do these things for nature at all. So it says if he finds himself being saved by this type of conspiracy, then he has to get this or that for his daughter. That is all depends on what the Jesus does in this mystical society. And once man seeks and it doesn't work, then the girl retracts. It's your daughter and has to leave those people alone. Now, once those things are determined, I cannot retract them. So it will say that you're not liking that part. And obviously, this is what I'm after Greece for. Why this part of Greece? You are not able to get it. Why would you have the prophecy of the child and not able to get this part? So this part you're not able to get back there. So who hides it from them? From you, it's suspect that it's probably a new beginning. And the new beginning, this trip got her in what is this lacking. So once she turns the other way with and gets that oceanic view, and if you're seeking just that part, well, she passed there and she got sausage there. So that part would says, I cannot do so if I'm not understanding that scenario. So once it says so, then it has to deal with how the lawyer seeks to spy on this mom. So the spying, if it's this way, then it's a hurts way. In other words, when it seeks that hurts, could sense her like an escargot. And I am not an escargot. So if it's the homeless, then he doesn't want to do his job. So I have to attack the lawyer. You don't want to do your job because of the escargot, and the escargot is not moving because of the lawyer. Now I have to retract a bit knot. I have to dispose of this knot. I kind of sense that it's kind of a way of dealing with her this way. And how are you going to determine how somebody is dead is an evil path. So this would say you would seek to determine it, and it's a what way. So whoever puts those type of people there, they have to wait. Now, because of it, you're not liking it, Denmark. Who are you? A little archipel, that part of the drug, in the wellness center sends a message. We cannot be denounced this way. If it's you denouncing yourself, then you have to be prosecuted before getting to those pub. If they're sensing that they have to deal with her, then whoever did that part sends animosity against that lady. Not they're sending it against this Denmark. Then she went to Tromsø, Norway. So Stockholm, she was there. So why are we being deceived? Because I don't know. Somebody has hinted. I think you guys have declared yourself to be dead pup and walking around, and that's an issue for dismantling the operation. But if they're sensing that they have done that part, then you cannot take that away and wipes out the planet completely. So you cannot seem to be able to deal with Greece. So your problems with Greece, I cannot be. There's a family called Onassis, has to be investigated this way, and that way can concern them. Not what basically would concern them is probably the Kardashians, perhaps, since we have conserved her R. Once it's this way, then you are this type of pedophile that slices man. That's a pedophile terminology and has to be able to deal with you guys. Cannot spare you guys for it. Now, because of it, you want to be able to deal with the girl, and I cannot see a lawyer. Now, if it's this he was trying to get to, then you are trying to get to the crown, that core of the child. When you seek to open the possibility this way now we become this way, and this way would say you're trying to get to a fish. This type of fish, it does this will be understood like a rubber ducky. So if this was shown to you, why I could have an ocean passage in the bathroom, and once it is, could trick them, they're thinking. So this type of man hurdle that with not only this type of septic tank, with that type of fork, and this type of that part there where she sat on the stairs, you won't know. So you could never know that part. The child, perhaps, and she that way, which is something that goes somewhere there. Now, once those things have been determined, I can sense that I seek. If it's seeking that degradation for the land, then I guess the father who created that little bundle, and that's grandma's type, will show you what you're going to go through. If you're throwing people out on the road, then that part says that France wants to see these things with the M's, and my M's could be simply oceans. So these type of people, your whole country could be of land and cannot keep ocean in your country, so it had to land well. So it says California cannot be a place to live. And if you're sensing she goes where she likes, then the ocean always does. So now if you're sensing that you don't want to anymore, you went too far, and that's what this happened. why the man could have been trying to go very far, he suspect, and could have hit the cat. And the cat's poise is way too much to be seeking to kill my family's pets. You have hit that lucky dog and come this far, it seems, and I'm not getting to know why. Now, because of it, if you're sensing that you don't want to deal with the lady, then what am I going to be dealing with the low life for? So you just have to sense that you just have to get smart on these things. Now, once it's done, this supernatural ability you seek to keep for yourself, so it stays there, it seems. You could have stole this just by this microfiber and has to be washed out of those things. So if you're sensing that you don't want to deal with the lady personally, then the lady doesn't come, it seems, at all anymore. Why, she's going to have to deal with taxi. She cannot walk. And she just have to sense that Parika could be this right there waiting for her if you are forcing these things in dark moments, because the darkness is revealing a night that is dangerous for mom being there and did not tell. So if you kept it as an ex-husband, then it puts it out there. Now, these things could be determined in immigration in Georgia, so they wait. So it says that you could have removed that part there, and it has to wait. So it says that you put somebody there that is sickly, and if it transcended that realm, then it says to that man. So it says that those type of things are judged by the leader of the country. So if the leader of the country strike him, then that is not exposed in here. I cannot know those things. If it's suspect that Denmark puts this against the child, then this part of them is being dismantled, they're thinking, and the Gothics are in trouble. And this type of boy, Ed Sheeran, is in trouble. And he's not an ocean at all. And because of this analysis could be done, but couldn't be important today. So if it puts it against, I don't know. And the girl has to wrap this up. In other words, this tear and leave the ocean alone. And oftentimes it reveals it here and causes a man, and causes someone to seek to flee. They're suspecting, so these things have to put back. You never know. That is what that part there of that has to be go from. Well, why it sets so based on it doesn't look net, so it puts it away too late and has the sense of vindication against them constantly. And this vindication says, when I'm seeing a man has this type of rope and a pinu at his death, could have known about this took place and could not have allowed it. So it sinks hard, and the girl says, I believe it's good, based on and that's enough for today, I suppose.